Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back bringing you some Honkai Star Rail. Now today obviously we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but before we dive into that, disclaimer, my thoughts are my thoughts and your thoughts are your thoughts. Obviously if you want to summon for the character, feel free to summon for the character. If you don't want to summon for the character, then you are more than obliged to basically save. You don't have to listen to all the YouTube creators, Instagrammers, TikTokers saying how good a character is. You play the game the way you want to play the game, and that's pretty much it. But without further ado, let's dive into the video. So obviously today I have been having a conversation or talking specifically about, I'd say, the negatives and why as a free-to-play you should not summon for Acheron. I've made videos specifically, for example, like the previous one, that someone should not panic pull for Acheron because everybody's saying she's a busted character. I've got another one that obviously talks about why her light cone is not needed specifically, but well, I wouldn't put in that context, but why her light cone would be needed and when her light cone would not be needed. I made another video specifically to talk about the best teams I think Acheron would be a good fit in, depending on the account as a free-to-play. My perspective is on the fact that if you're free-to-play, you probably have more than one account, unless you're just playing the game for the sake of playing the game. But most free-to-play players who are very aggressive on Honkai Star Rail will probably have more than one account. So this is to obviously enlighten those individuals on what type of account you want to put Acheron in. So obviously today we're going to be talking about mostly the positives of Acheron. I've been talking about the negatives, but now today it's about time we talked about the actual positives of what she can bring to the game. So obviously, for one, she is a hard-hitting DPS, and like most hard-hitting DPS characters, they are going to be dealing way more damage than the current, probably just a slight bit more damage than the current DPS character who is in play at the moment. But usually sometimes it also just goes down and depends on the character stats, relics, how much you've rolled on them, how much you can give them in terms of investment. So those are the types of things that go into obviously making a character powerful. So one of the major things is there's no doubt in my mind that this character, as you can even see on the screen, just deals so much damage. It's unbelievable, right? And that's one of the things that I like about Acheron. She deals damage. But the major point of today's discussion is the fact that the positive that she brings, I think, to Honkai Star Rail is the fact that she is going to be changing the game completely in terms of how we build characters and how we build teams. Now, to expound on this, when the game started, we had about a few options when we're building teams, right? You have to put a healer, a harmony unit, a DPS unit, and then maybe a tank, right? And as the game evolved, it got to the point where we only need maybe one healer or a tank, and then basically you have your harmony unit and then maybe two DPS or a double DPS comp unit or team specifically. And even in some instances, you would actually even run a harmony or a preservation or healer character, and then have two harmony characters and a DPS character, which right now is working. Now obviously with now the addition of Acheron, she completely changes that dynamic, and it becomes that obviously you need two nihility characters in the team to make her deal more damage. Now realistically, you know, if you're not following the meta or you're not following what she does as a general unit, you could just specifically put her with, you know, a buffer harmony unit, a healer and a tank. That's fine, that's up to you. But realistically, the way that Hoyoverse has made the game or made the character specifically is that you need two nihility characters. Now how does this actually change the narrative of the game? This changes the narrative of the game because when you go to MOC, and this is obviously to every free-to-play player, and actually one of the things I want to mention before I continue, if you are not able to clear MOC 12 as a free-to-play player, don't be sad about it, don't be mad about it. I myself, on all four accounts, have only ever been able to clear until MOC 10. I've not even been able to fully clear MOC 11 and 12. I usually end up either getting 1 star or 2 stars. And obviously that in its own right is what sometimes annoys me. But I'm here to say you're not alone. As a free-to-player, you are not alone. and don't get tempted by the next DPS, next harmony tank, blah blah blah. So back to topic. She brings the aspect of being able to take most of your harmony characters and put them into one specific team, because before you had to have a plethora of harmony units being able to cover both teams. So for example, a Ting Yun and a Bronya on the first team, and then maybe a Hanya and a Ruin Mei and or Sparkle on the second team, right? And that's obviously saying that you probably have one or the other between Ruin Mei and Sparkle. But now what she does is she completely removes that and becomes that you can, or you are able to basically run, let's say, Gwenaifen, Pella or Pella Silver Wolf, and then Acheron, and then maybe a tank or a healer unit. And then your second team can now be that specific, you can even go triple buffer, Ting Yun, Bronya, Ruin Mei, and then your DPS for those people who are able to obviously do the MOC clear in obviously one turn. So that's where she comes in. I think that has actually changed the whole narrative of the game. The fact that you have that specific team dynamic. One other thing that she brings as well is just the ability to be able to clear out MOC really fast, just by obviously killing hordes really fast, which is good. I mean, that's something that Ruin Mei was able to do when she came out, and being able to add that character to your account and be able to kind of go through MOC real quick is another app, as what I'd say. Now, the third thing I'd say that I think she brings to the table is the fact that she covers now a range, the element that most people probably do not have in terms of an account, because even from the general comments, most people have a Dr. Ratio, a Clara, maybe, an Imbibita Luna, a Jinglu, but they don't have a good DPS lightning unit. And this is actually for most of the people who started the game. So most people don't have a Kafka, most people don't have a Jinglu. And in that case, I would say 100% summon for Acheron, because you definitely especially with her account, with her banner coming out, you will have a Pella, you will have a Gwenaifen, obviously choosing from the character selector. You will have a Luca as well. So she doesn't necessarily need to be paired with Pella and Silver Wolf or Black Swan and Kafka to deal the amount of damage that she needs to deal. But at the same time, that's what makes her great, that as long as they're two Nihility characters, and in retrospect most of the 4-star Nihility characters actually do kind of debuff the enemy in a way that makes now your DPS Nihility deal more damage. So for example, Gwenaifen, for example Pella, for example Luca. So she's very broad. She's been given this kit that makes her very broad in terms of playing with Nihility characters, which I think is a very important aspect of the game. So, and that's pretty much it. So my final thoughts of why I think, as much as I've talked about, is she really worth it? Is her Lycon really worth it? I think Acheron is a very good character. And the change that they're bringing to the game with her kit it's very good, because it's now diverting a lot of people from playing the typical harmony DPS and then maybe tank or healer, and now it's going to, right, you have one specific team comp for Nihility. You put 2 Nihility characters, put Acheron, and you're sorted, right? And then have a healer or so. And then your second team comp now can be your harmony units, your DPS units, and your tank units. So in general, I think Acheron brings some new flavor to the table, some new flavor to the game, and in doing so actually enables a lot of players to now start doing new things with the game. And that's what I love about what this game is doing and what Hoyoverse is doing. But with that said, I hope you guys have a good day. Obviously she's coming out on Thursday, I think, Thursday specifically. So if I will be live streaming the polls and my reaction and obviously the build. So if you want to join, obviously join me on Thursday, and I will see you all in the next one. So all I can say is good night, good evening, good morning for some of you, good evening for some of you, and good night.